Hello and welcome to Gardening in 58 North. In this video I'd like to give you guys an update on my rose plant here. So this rose is a Floribunda Rose and the variety is Arthur Bell. It's got a lovely yellow flower. It starts off quite a dark yellow, then it fades to a creamy kind of white colour as it ages. So it's quite a nice rose. It's one of my favourite ones because it's a Floribunda, so it means it flowers again and again throughout the summer. You have lots of flowers coming on it, you just keep deadheading it, keeps throwing out new flowers. And also, it's one of the most fragrant Floribundas. A lot of the Floribundas aren't as fragrant as some other roses. This particular Floribunda is very fragrant. So I'll show you a picture here of the label. That gives you an idea what the roses should look like soon. So it's now the beginning of May, coming into the middle of May possibly. And yeah, it's done really well. It's got a lot of growth. You can see I cut it back about this level last autumn, I think it was, and you can see it's already put on about a foot of growth. The foliage is really glossy, really healthy. You get that with the Arthur Bell rose. I quite often find it's got really glossy, healthy looking foliage. Not all roses have such glossy foliage, but Arthur Bell's always got particularly glossy, healthy looking foliage. It's also quite resistant to a lot of diseases like black spot. This did get a spot of black spot last year, which is why I pruned it so hard. So I pruned the stems very hard last year because to get any black spot out, and so far it's worked. I haven't seen any coming back onto the plant, but it's still early days. You don't normally see much black spot in May. It's normally kind of June, July it starts to develop a bit more, but it's done well. The only issue I have had is there's a bit of browning on some of the leaves. You can see on the edges there. I think that's because we've had some unusual weather this spring. The last couple of weeks it's been really dry. We haven't had any rain whatsoever for about 3 or 4 weeks now, which is very unusual for Scotland. Even though I'm in East Scotland, which is a drier part of Scotland, 3 or 4 weeks without rain is quite unusual. We've had quite strong easterly winds, which are very cold, drying winds because they come over the North Sea, so the temperature is only about 10 degrees. But what it means is you get very sunny weather, really hot, intense sunshine, and also very dry air. So at the moment, I think the dry air has been drying out the edges of the leaf. Also, a bit earlier on in the year, we had a bit of a thinning of the ozone above us, so the UV levels have been a lot higher for April, May than they normally would be. They've been more like the June, July, or the June UV levels instead of the normal spring UV levels. So we've had a high UV, so that's maybe another factor that's dried out the leaves, but otherwise it's looking really healthy. It's got, I think, 5 flower buds at the moment. They're still quite small because they've only just topped out with the flower buds. They're still quite young. So what it's going to do now is, I don't think there's not really any stems that don't have flower buds on top. So once the flower buds show, all the energy is going to stop going into the leaves and start going into the flowers. They'll start swelling up, show some nice flowers soon. After they've flowered, I deadhead them. They should just keep firing out more and more. So I've been giving it a general feed just to give it a lot of leaf growth and general robustness. So I'm going to start switching to a high potassium feed now to try and encourage lots of flowering and put a lot more energy into the flowers. I've also given it Epsom salts because magnesium levels need to be a little bit higher in roses than other plants, and they really appreciate the magnesium. I think that's why it's got such a vibrant green colour. I find iron makes it have a nice dark green colour, but if you want like a luminous green, magnesium seems to give it more of a luminous kind of colour. So you can just see there how glossy those leaves are, really, really shiny. Almost looks like I put leaf shine on, but I haven't. It's just the way this one grows, and even the older leaves down here are also really shiny. So there it is. As I say, I'll give it a feed, give you guys an update in a few weeks time. Hopefully it'll have 5 or so flowers on it, and then once they're done, it'll probably have another flush of flowers as well.